Oh, hello. Thanks for joining me today in my office. I'm right here in the office and I am studying on the principles of freedom of religion. And I want you to join with me over this next series of clips because we talked about socialism and stuff, but now I'm going to hit this. Because what you need to understand is we are losing many of our liberties because we don't even know what they are. And many of these liberties are founded, like liberty of conscience, liberty of belief, is founded in the roots of religious liberty. Did you know that? Many people don't know that. They think, oh, all we ever do is force. No, no, no. That's not what this is. Yet, they want to look around the world and around the globe and they say, oh, well, they have religious liberty over in China. There's some Christians there. Did you know that there are just approved so-called Christian churches in China? And only certain ones get approved, the ones the government run and push propaganda through? And if you're outside of that, you can't get a license. And if you do build a church in China, outside of that, one church did. They grew to 5,000 members. Last year, I watched as bulldozers bulldoze their church building down. Why? They weren't in the approved group. And so what looks like Christianity to us many times is not Christianity at all. This same thing has happened in our past. It's happened with various times in history where governments have used the name of Christ or Christianity and then forced or murdered others instead of letting Christ speak to their hearts. Instead of true Bible preaching. Of course, we didn't even have the Bible in written form for hundreds of years. And once we got it, they began to kill the men that were publishing it, like Wycliffe and Tyndale and all of these men, when God was trying to bring the Word of God to us for a personal relationship with Him. So in this sphere, I want to talk about global religion real quick. I want you to understand there are countries all around the world, and many of them have Christian labeled on them. Many of them have Muslim and Buddhist and Hindu. They do, okay, and many of them come with different angles on this ideal. So what I want you to understand is, first I want to talk about the different countries. There are 43 different countries that have state religions, okay? Some of them say Christian. Some of them have a forced state religion. England has the forced Anglican religion. People don't know this, okay? So there is a state-run church that people have to conform to, pay taxes to, follow the laws of. 27 Islamic nations have to follow the teachings of the Quran. It's built into their government system to the point that infidels are destroyed, that other nations have to be destroyed and come up under Islam. Okay, and there's 27 of those, and they literally believe that for their Messiah to come back, that they have to convert the whole world or get all the infidels either propagated underneath their authority or murdered. One of the others. Infidels are people that don't believe that. They follow the teachings of Muhammad. And if there are Christians in their nations, they're persecuted. They are not allowed to do many things. They are not allowed to have a location. And if they do, it's still subject to either taxes or all sorts of persecution. So there are state-run religions. 13 are Christian. 2 are Buddhist, okay? There are whole countries that are founded on Buddhism. And anything outside of that is a threat because they must keep their religion pure and functioning because it is the only one that is promoted. Another one, of course, is Israel is founded on Judaism. But yet they can't rebuild their temple. So how can that be? And yet they don't understand that everything in the Old Testament was Christ. It was Christ. It was understanding spiritual principles and a love relationship between them and God. But many Christians don't understand that we are losing many of our freedoms in our nation. And we are starting to act like everybody else. But here it's humanism that's ruling the day. And here it is atheism. It is even the lust of man and man worship and man truth and all this kind of stuff. But we are losing various rights. I also want to talk to you about another 40 countries have a preferred religion. What does that mean? They say they allow religions, but there is one at the forefront. That one gets all the money. The government funds it, the government pushes it forth. All the other ones are pushed back, even controlled, and sometimes persecuted, going into prison. Okay, so there are 40 countries that have preferred a preference. Okay, just like in the little country of Georgia. The Georgian Orthodox Church is the church that's promoted by the government. They even passed laws and said that the clergy and the whole church are not subject to laws. In other words, if I go there now and I start what they call a sectarian congregation, because it's not Georgian Orthodox, those preachers have a right to flog me, to kill me, and the government is going to turn the other way because the Georgian Orthodox religion is what they promote. Once a year, they have an actual animal sacrifice where the blood flows down to try to cover the nation. You have to understand, though, and it's called Christian, but you don't understand. True Christianity doesn't happen by force. It doesn't happen by force. It happens by you having an inward experience with God and yielding. It doesn't happen by force. So I want you to understand this. There are 10 nations that are hostile against all religion. In other words, they will kill you for any kind of religion because you are a product of the state. And they own you and they indoctrinate you with what they say is right and wrong. And therefore, you have to have their beliefs primarily, no matter what the word says or what your conscience says. Okay? There's 106 other nations that say that they support no religion. But this is not true because many of those have a strong preference of religion. And we're talking about from the government down. You need to understand. Now, America is founded on certain ideals and Christian principles that come from the Bible that the people have first. The people have first. And out of that comes civil society, supposed to be civil society. But we aren't really understanding that anymore. Christianity's evil because it stops people from doing whatever humanistically they want. It puts boundaries. But yet, that there are other religions here. And we're going to begin to talk about various understandings of that. So join me on the next clip of religious liberty, which is going to lead us to many other liberties of belief. So we're going to talk to you again about that in the next episode. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.